Taeyang opened his eyes to a white ceiling. Everything around him was white. The walls were white. The floor was white. Even the strange bed under him was white. He sat up slowly and touched his head. The last thing he remembered was walking home from work in Seoul. He had been carrying his lunchbox and thinking about what to watch on television that night. Then there was a bright light, and now he was here. The room was small, maybe the size of his apartment bathroom. There was nothing in it except the bed and a weird panel on one wall with colored buttons. Taeyang stood up and walked to the wall. He pressed his hand against it. It was smooth and cold like metal, but not quite. He knocked on it. The sound was dull and flat. "Hello?" he called out. His voice did not echo. The room seemed to swallow the sound. Nobody answered. Taeyang walked around the small space. He found no door, no window, no way out. His heart started beating faster. Where was he? How did he get here? He tried to remember more, but his memory had a blank spot, just the light and then waking up here. He went back to the panel with the buttons. There were 5 buttons in different colors: red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. Taeyang stared at them. This had to mean something. He pressed the blue button carefully. A small slot opened in the wall. A tray slid out with a cup of water on it. Taeyang picked up the cup and sniffed it. It smelled like normal water. He took a tiny sip. It tasted like water, too. He drank it all. He had not realized how thirsty he was. What Taeyang did not know was that he was not alone. On the other side of the white wall, 3 beings watched him through a special glass that looked like a wall from his side. These beings were not human. They were not from Earth at all. The first being looked like a large bird, but it stood on 2 legs and had arms instead of wings. Its feathers were silver and blue. Its name was Velmoth, and it had been studying animal behavior for 200 years. The second being looked like a huge insect, with multiple eyes and 4 arms. Its shell was shiny and green. This was Dr. Kixara, an expert in how different species think. The third being was shaped like a giant lizard, with scales that changed colors from gray to brown. This was Ambassador Thulpen, who was in charge of bringing new species into the Galactic Confederation. The human is responding to basic stimulus, Velmoth said, making marks on a glowing pad. It understood the water dispenser immediately. Perhaps they are more intelligent than we thought, Dr. Kixara suggested, clicking its mandibles together thoughtfully. Intelligence does not mean they are safe, Ambassador Thulpen said. His voice was deep and slow. These creatures come from a death world. They are predators. Look at their eyes. Both eyes face forward, made for hunting. They have teeth designed to tear meat. Our studies show they have been the most dangerous species on their planet for thousands of their years. Velmoth nodded. This is why we must condition them properly. With the right training, even a dangerous predator can become peaceful and useful to the Confederation. I have trained species far more aggressive than this. Inside the room, Taeyang had discovered more buttons. When he pressed the green button, another slot opened. This time, a small piece of something that looked like bread came out. Taeyang picked it up. It did not smell like bread. It did not smell like anything. He bit off a tiny piece. It tasted bland, but okay. It made his stomach feel less empty. Excellent, Velmoth said, watching. The human is already learning the food dispenser. This one may be particularly receptive to training. Taeyang sat back down on the bed with his bread thing. He looked around the room again. This was not a hospital. This was not any place he recognized. The walls were too smooth. The buttons were too strange. The food was too weird. He thought about science fiction movies he had watched. Was he in a spaceship? Had aliens taken him? The idea should have been crazy. But what else could explain this? Taeyang finished eating the bread thing. He was a construction worker, not a scientist or a soldier. Why would aliens take him? He was nobody special. Just a regular guy who built buildings and went home to his small apartment every night. He stood up and went back to the panel. He pressed the red button. Nothing happened. He pressed the yellow button. Still nothing. He pressed the purple button. A soft musical sound played from somewhere in the ceiling. Taeyang jumped. Then he pressed the purple button again. The music played again. Curiosity behavior, Dr. Kixara noted. The human is exploring its environment systematically. This shows problem-solving capability. All predators are curious, Thulpen said. It helps them hunt. We must be careful not to confuse intelligence with trainability. Over the next few hours, Taiyang tested everything in the room. He learned that blue meant water, green meant food, and purple meant music. Red and yellow still did nothing, no matter how many times he pressed them. He wondered if they would do something later. Maybe this was some kind of test. He lay back on the bed. It was actually pretty comfortable. The room was not cold or hot. It was just right. Whoever had built this place knew what temperature humans liked. That meant they had been studying humans. That meant this was planned. Taiyang tried not to panic. Panic would not help. He needed to think. He needed to figure out what was happening. He scratched behind his ear, a habit he had when he was thinking hard. What did these aliens want? Why had they taken him? Behind the glass, Velmoth made another note. The human performs a grooming gesture when processing information. This appears to be a stress response. We should monitor if this continues. Do you really think we can train them? Thulpin asked, his scales shifting to a darker gray. The council is very worried about this species. They reproduce quickly. They adapt to almost any environment. They are aggressive and territorial. Some council members want to quarantine their entire planet. That would be a waste, Dr. Kixara said. If we can properly condition them, humans could be valuable workers. They are strong for their size. They can survive in conditions that would kill most species. With proper training, they could do jobs that are too dangerous for civilized species. I can train them, Velmoth said confidently. I have reviewed all the data from their planet. Yes, they are predators. Yes, they can be violent. But they also respond to rewards. They form strong social bonds. They can learn complex tasks. These are all signs of a species that can be conditioned. We just need to start with the basics. Inside the room, Taiyang had found a small panel in the floor that might be a drain. He had found tiny holes in the ceiling that probably circulated air. He had tested every inch of the walls. There was definitely no way out unless whoever had put him here decided to let him out. He pressed the green button and got another piece of bland bread. He pressed the blue button and got more water. He ate and drank slowly. He needed to keep his strength up. Whatever was happening, whatever these aliens wanted, he needed to be ready. Taiyang scratched behind his ear again and stared at the wall where he suspected the watchers were. He could not see them, but he could feel that someone was watching. He had felt this way since he woke up. Okay, he said quietly to the wall. I will play your game, but I am not an animal. Remember that. The aliens did not hear him, but if they had, they would not have understood. They had already decided what humans were, and they were certain they could train them. Taiyang woke up to a different room. This one was bigger, maybe the size of a small classroom. The walls were still white, but now there were more things inside. He saw 3 other beds besides his own. On 2 of the beds, people were sleeping. On the 3rd bed, a woman sat watching him. You are awake, she said in Korean. Good, I am Hyejin. Do not be afraid. Well, be a little afraid because we are definitely not on Earth anymore. But do not panic, Taiyang sat up quickly. What is happening? Where are we? I am pretty sure we are on a spaceship, Hyejin said. She was young, maybe 25, with short hair and glasses. I was studying for my astrophysics exam when they took me. 3 days ago, I think. Hard to tell time here. They moved me to this room about an hour ago. One of the other sleepers stirred. A man opened his eyes and looked around. More people, he said. Good, I thought I was going crazy alone. I am Dongwu, Taiyang said. You said spaceship? You are sure? Very sure, Hyejin said. She pointed at the wall. See those panels? That is not human technology. The gravity feels slightly wrong, like we are on a rotating section generating artificial gravity. And look at this. She stood up and pressed a button on the wall. Food came out just like in Taiyang's first room. They have been training us. Like animals. Training us? Taiyang stood up and walked closer. What do you mean? Button for food. Button for water. Button for music. They are using basic reward response conditioning. Push button, get treat. Like training a dog. Hyejin pushed her glasses up. I have been thinking about this a lot. I think they are studying us. They are trying to figure out if we can learn. The 4th person finally woke up. She was a woman with strong shoulders and alert eyes. She looked at the 3 of them and said, How long have I been asleep? Just a few hours, I think, Dongwu said. I am Dongwu. That is Hyejin and Taiyang. Sun He, the woman said. She got out of bed and immediately started checking the room, moving along the walls, testing everything. Fighter, she added. Mixed martial arts, you? Construction worker, Taeyang said. Paramedic, Dongwu said. Student, Hyejin said. Sun-hee finished her examination of the room. No exits except one section of wall that is probably a door. No windows. Air comes from the ceiling. We are being watched. She pointed at several spots on the walls and ceiling. See those tiny dark spots? Cameras, I think. Hyejin got excited. I knew it. I thought I saw those in my first room, but I was not sure. She walked up to one of the spots and waved. Hello, aliens. Can you understand me? Behind their observation glass, Velmoth watched with interest. The humans are already forming a social group. This is excellent. Pack bonding behavior is emerging. This will make them easier to manage in groups. Dr. Kiksara made notes. They are communicating efficiently. No displays of aggression or dominance. Perhaps the human social structure is more cooperative than we thought. Do not be fooled, Ambassador Thulpen warned. Predators often work together when hunting. This cooperation could be dangerous. Inside the room, the 4 humans had gathered in the center. So what do we do? Taeyang asked. How do we get out? We do not, Hyejin said. Not yet. First, we learn more. They are studying us, so we study them back. We figure out what they want, why they took us, what their technology can do. Then we make a plan. I like her, Sun-hee said to the others. Smart, Dongwu nodded. Okay, so we play along? Exactly, Hyejin said. We play along. We act like we are learning their little button games, but we pay attention to everything. Every sound, every change, every pattern. Scientists are predictable. They will have routines. We learn the routines. For the next several days, the 4 humans did exactly that. When the aliens expected them to press buttons for food, they pressed buttons enthusiastically. When new puzzles appeared on screens in the walls, they solved them with appropriate levels of difficulty. Not too fast, or the aliens might get suspicious. Not too slow, or the aliens might think they were not smart enough. But while they played the game, they were really watching and learning. Hyejin discovered that the lights followed a 26-hour cycle, which she said might be how long a day was for the aliens. Sun-hee found that certain panels on the walls were weaker than others, though still too strong to break. Dongwu figured out the timing of when food appeared and noticed it followed a pattern. Taeyang tested every object in the room for any possible use. Look at this, Sun-hee said one day. She was standing by the food dispenser. The mechanism sticks sometimes. There is something wrong with the timing. She pressed the button. Nothing happened. She waited 2 seconds and pressed it again. Food came out. See? It is not perfect. Hyejin came over to look. Can you get inside it? Maybe. Give me time. Sun-hee pressed the button several more times, watching carefully. These aliens think they are so smart, but their engineering has flaws. Behind the glass, the aliens saw Sun-hee working with the food dispenser. The human is showing tool-use problem-solving, Velmoth said happily. It recognized a malfunction and is attempting to understand the mechanism. This is very advanced for such early conditioning. Over the next few days, Sun-hee did manage to get the food dispenser panel open. She did it when she was alone in that corner, moving slowly and carefully. Inside, she saw wires and components that looked similar to Earth electronics but more advanced. She did not touch anything that might break it. She just looked and remembered. Then she closed it back up. When she told the others, Hyejin got very excited. This means their technology is not magic. It works on similar principles to ours, just more advanced. That means it can be figured out. It can be worked with, or broken, Sun-hee added. Not yet, Hyejin said. Not until we know more. The aliens introduced new tests. They separated the humans and gave them individual challenges. Taeyang was put in a room with a maze puzzle projected on the floor. He had to guide a light from one end to the other. It was actually pretty easy. He solved it in a few minutes. Then they made it harder. He solved that too. Hyejin got mathematical problems on a screen. She could have solved them in seconds, but she deliberately made small mistakes sometimes and took longer than she needed. She wanted to seem smart, but not too smart. Not yet. Dongwu was given scenarios where a projected alien appeared to be hurt. He had to figure out how to help. Even though he knew it was fake, his training as a paramedic kicked in. He assessed each situation properly and took the right actions. He could not help it. Helping people was what he did. Sun He faced physical challenges, moving through obstacle courses, picking up heavy objects, dodging moving barriers. She was good at all of it, very good. She knew the aliens were testing her strength and speed. She did not hold back too much. They probably already knew humans were strong, but she did not show them everything she could do either. When they were back together in the group room, they shared what had happened. They are definitely testing us for different things, Hyjin said. Intelligence, strength, problem solving. Social responses. This is a complete behavioral study, but why? Taiyang asked, scratching behind his ear as he thought. Why go to all this trouble? That is what we need to find out, Hyejin said. Dongwu noticed Taiyang's gesture. You do that a lot. Scratch your ear when you are thinking. Taiyang looked at his hand. Do I? I never noticed. Sun He smiled. I do it too sometimes. She demonstrated, scratching behind her ear. Funny. Maybe it is a human thing. Behind the glass, Velmoth noted this interaction. Multiple humans show the same grooming gesture during cognitive processing. This appears to be a species-wide stress response. Fascinating. It must serve some evolutionary purpose we do not yet understand. The 4 humans kept playing their game. They acted like they were being trained. They seemed to learn and adapt. They showed appropriate responses to rewards and challenges. But in reality, they were the ones doing the studying. Every day they learned more about their captors, their prison, and their situation. And every time one of them scratched behind their ear, the aliens wrote it down as an interesting quirk of human behavior. They had no idea it was becoming something else. A private joke, a small rebellion, a reminder that they were not animals in cages. They were people, and people always find a way. The testing changed after 2 weeks. The 4 humans were separated again, but this time they were taken to completely different rooms. Taiyang found himself in a space that looked like a small theater. There was a chair in the middle facing a large screen. The moment he sat down, the screen turned on. A voice spoke from somewhere above. It was not speaking Korean. It was not speaking any human language. But somehow Taiyang understood every word. They must have put something in his head to translate. The thought made him feel sick. You will observe scenarios, the voice said. You will make choices. There are no wrong answers. We simply want to understand your decision-making process. The screen showed a picture. It was a simple drawing of train tracks. On the tracks were 5 figures. They looked like aliens, not humans. A train was coming toward them. Then the image shifted. It showed a lever. If Taeyang pulled the lever, the train would switch to a different track. But on that track was one alien figure. Do you pull the lever? The voice asked. Taeyang stared at the screen. This was the trolley problem. He had seen this exact scenario in a philosophy class he took years ago in evening school. 1 person versus 5 people. It was meant to test moral thinking. The aliens were using human philosophy problems to test humans. He almost laughed. Instead, he stood up and walked to the screen. He touched it. His hand went through it slightly. It was a hologram, not a real screen. This is not real, he said to the voice. These are not real beings. This is a thought experiment from Earth philosophy. You took this from our own culture. There was silence. If you want to understand human decision-making, Taiyang continued, you should know that humans understand context. This scenario is too simple. In real life, there would be more information. Why are those people on the tracks? Can they move? Can I warn them? Is there another way to stop the train? Humans do not think in simple yes or no. We look for the third option. More silence. Taeyang scratched behind his ear. Is this really the best test you have? You are supposed to be an advanced civilization. In another room, Hyejin faced a different challenge. She was given a series of mathematical and logic puzzles on a screen. The first few were simple. Then they got harder. Then they got very hard. Hyejin solved them all in minutes. She could not help herself. Math was math. Logic was logic. These were beautiful problems. The final problem appeared on the screen. It was about quantum probability distributions. Hyejin read it and smiled. This was graduate-level physics. This was exactly what she had been studying when they took her. She solved it. Then she started typing additional information on the screen. She explained the mathematical principle behind the problem. She showed 3 different ways to approach it. She started getting into quantum field theory. Behind the glass, Dr. Kiksara watched in shock. The human is not just solving the problem. It is teaching us. It understands the underlying principles at a level we did not expect. Is it showing off? Ambassador Thulpin asked. No, Dr. Kixara said slowly. I think it genuinely loves the mathematics. Look at its body language. It is excited, happy. This human finds joy in problem solving. Velmoth made notes. This could be useful. If humans respond positively to intellectual stimulation, that can be part of the conditioning program. In a third room, Dongwu was dealing with something else entirely. A holographic alien appeared in front of him. It was the bird-like one, like the aliens he had glimpsed a few times through observation windows. The hologram fell to the ground and made sounds of distress. Its leg was bent at a wrong angle. Dongwu knew immediately this was fake. But his instincts took over. He knelt down next to the hologram. Where does it hurt? He asked. The hologram pointed at its leg. Even though he knew this was a test, Dongwu went through proper first aid procedure. He checked for breathing. He looked for other injuries. He examined the leg carefully without touching it. This looks like a fracture, he said. The leg needs to be stabilized before moving. Do you have medical supplies? A panel opened in the wall. Inside were objects that might be medical tools. Dongwu looked through them. He picked items that seemed like they could work as a splint and bandages. He was as gentle as possible with the hologram, even though his hands passed slightly through it. You will be okay, he said to the fake alien. Try not to move. Help is coming. Watching this, Velmoth felt something strange. Was this human actually showing empathy to a hologram? It knows this is not real, Velmoth said. But it is providing care anyway. Interesting, Dr. Kixara said. The human appears to have a deep instinct to help others in distress, even when it knows the situation is artificial, even when the being is not its own species. In the fourth room, Sunhee faced a very different test. The room was large and dark. Suddenly, lights came on. Small flying drones appeared from the walls. They moved toward her quickly. Sunhee's body reacted before her mind did. She dropped low and rolled to the side. A drone passed over her head. She came up and grabbed a piece of loose equipment that was sitting in the corner. She threw it at a drone. Direct hit. The drone fell. More drones came. Sunhee moved constantly. She used the walls. She used the floor. She picked up the broken drone and used parts of it to hit other drones. Within 3 minutes, all the drones were on the ground. Sunhee stood in the center of the room, breathing hard but not panicked. Is that all? She asked the ceiling. Behind the glass, Ambassador Thulpin's scales had turned dark red. Do you see? This is what I warned you about. This human disabled 12 training drones in under 3 minutes. It used tools. It adapted to the situation. It showed no fear. These beings are dangerous. It also showed restraint, Dr. Kixara pointed out. It could have been more violent. It could have tried to break through the walls, but it only defended itself against the immediate threat. That makes it smarter, not safer, Thulpin said. After the tests, the 4 humans were brought back together. They shared their experiences in whispers, unsure if the aliens could hear them or not. They are definitely evaluating us for something specific, Haye-Jin said. Intelligence, empathy, combat ability, moral reasoning. They are building a complete profile. But why? Taeyang asked. What are they planning to do with us? Maybe they want to know if humans can be part of their civilization, Dongwu suggested. Like first contact protocols. Or maybe they want to know if we are a threat, Sunhee said darkly. That night, as they tried to sleep in their white room, each of them thought about the tests. They thought about what the aliens were learning. And they thought about what they could do. Taeyang lay on his bed, scratching behind his ear as he stared at the ceiling. The gesture had become automatic now. Every time he was thinking hard or worried, his hand went to his ear. He had noticed the others doing it too. Suddenly, he sat up. I just realized something, he said quietly. The others turned to look at him. We all do that thing. Scratching behind our ear. And the aliens keep writing it down. I have seen them through the glass sometimes. They always make notes when we do it, so? Sunhee asked. So they think it means something. They think it is important. Some kind of stress response or thinking behavior. Taeyang scratched behind his ear and smiled. What if we made it mean something? Hee-Jin understood immediately. Her eyes lit up. A signal. We could use it as a signal between us, but to mean what? Dongwu asked. To mean they are watching, Taeyang said. When one of us scratches our ear, it means be careful. Play along. They are testing us right now. Sunhee grinned. I like it. A secret code right under their noses. Or beaks or mandibles or whatever, Heejin added. They will think it is just a random human behavior. But for us it will mean something. They agreed. From that moment on, scratching behind the ear meant the same thing to all of them. It meant remember who you are. Remember this is a game. Remember we are not animals. Remember they are watching. The aliens had no idea that the behavior they were so carefully documenting had just become an act of quiet rebellion. They kept making their notes. They kept tracking the gesture. They kept thinking they understood, but they did not understand at all. 2 months after meeting Bora, Taeyang stood in front of Ambassador Thulpen and asked for a formal meeting. The ambassador's scales shifted through several colors, which the humans had learned meant confusion or surprise. You wish to address the council? Thulpen asked. You understand you are still in training evaluation? We understand completely, Taeyang said. He scratched behind his ear. Across the room, Hyejin, Dongwu, and Sunhee all did the same. That is exactly what we want to talk about. Velmoth, who was also present, tilted his bird-like head. This is unusual. Specimens do not usually request formal contact during conditioning. Maybe that should have told you something, Hyejin said quietly. 3 days later, the 4 humans were brought into a large conference room. It was designed for aliens, so the table was too high and the chairs too big. Someone had provided human-sized furniture at one end, a small gesture that might have been kindness or might have been curiosity. Sitting across from them were Ambassador Thulpen, Dr. Kixara, and Velmoth. Behind them on screens were the faces of other aliens. The council, Taeyang realized. They were broadcasting this to the people in charge. We have granted your request, Thulpen said. Speak, Heejin stood up first. She had a data pad they had given her for her mathematics tests. She had spent the past few days preparing something on it. Thank you for seeing us. I want to start by showing you exactly what we know about your operation here. She turned the pad so it projected onto the wall. A schematic appeared. It showed the entire ship they were on with every room marked. This is the containment vessel we are on. These are the observation rooms. These are the testing chambers. This is the route you take us through for evaluations. Velmoth's feathers ruffled. How did you obtain that information? I mapped it, Heejin said simply. From sounds, vibrations, air pressure changes, and counting my steps every time you moved us. It took me 3 weeks. She switched to another image. These are the shift patterns of your staff. You change observers every 8.3 hours. The medical checks happen every 72 hours. The deep ship vibration that indicates a large vessel docking happens every 2 weeks. Dr. Kixara's many eyes blinked in sequence. You have been monitoring us while we monitored you. Of course we have, Sunhee said, standing up next. You want to see what I learned? She pointed at different parts of the schematic. Your door mechanisms have a 3-second delay. Your cameras have blind spots in the corners. The ventilation system is accessible from maintenance panels that lock from the inside but not the outside. Your drones have a predictable movement algorithm. She pulled out a piece of metal she had been hiding in her sleeve. It was a component from one of the training drones. I took this apart during testing. I studied it. I can replicate it now. Your security systems are good, but they are not designed to contain someone who has been paying attention. Thulpen's scales went dark red. Are you threatening us? No, Dongwu said, standing. We are showing you that threatening is pointless. We could have tried to escape. We could have broken things. We could have hurt someone. We did not. Do you know why? Tell us, Thulpen said. Because we are not animals, Dongwu said. We understand what you were trying to do. You wanted to see if humans could be integrated safely into your civilization. You wanted to condition away our aggressive instincts. You wanted to make us useful and obedient. But you made a mistake. Taeyang stood last. You assumed that because we could learn your systems, we were being trained by them. You thought pressing buttons for food meant we were responding to conditioning. But really, we were studying the buttons, learning your technology, understanding your methods. Every test you gave us, we learned something new, Hyejin continued. About your computers, your logic, your psychology. You taught us more than you meant to. And we were not the only ones, Sunhee added. Taeyang tapped the data pad. A new image appeared. It was a star map with dozens of points marked. These are Thex colonies, 17 worlds. Each one has humans. We talked to one of them, Bora. She told us something important. The image zoomed to show more points. These are other Confederation research stations, other integration programs, other places where you have been studying humans. We estimate there are at least 40 locations. Probably more. Dr. Kixara leaned forward. What are you suggesting? That every group of humans in every location figured out the same thing we did, Hyejin said. You are not training us. We are learning from you, and we have been doing it quietly while you thought you were in control. Velmoth stood up, feathers fully ruffled now. This is unacceptable. You have been deceiving us deliberately. You have been studying us like we are the specimens. Yes, Taeyang said, because that is what intelligent beings do. We observe. We learn. We adapt. You should know this. You do the same thing. But we are scientists, Velmoth said. So are we, Hyejin said. I am an astrophysics student. Dongwu studies medicine. Sunhee understands biomechanics. Taeyang has 10 years of engineering experience in construction. We are not primitive. We are not animals. We are people who happen to come from a harder world than yours. Thulpen's scales shifted to a darker color. If you are so intelligent, why did you not reveal this earlier? Why the deception? Would you have listened? Dongwu asked. If we had told you on day one that we understood what you were doing, would you have believed us? Or would you have thought we were too dangerous and locked us away? Silence filled the room. We did it this way to show you something, Taeyang said. We wanted to prove that humans can cooperate, can be patient, can be peaceful. You thought you needed to train away our predator instincts, but those instincts are why we survived on Earth. They are not something to eliminate. They are something to understand. Humans are predators, yes, Sunhee said. We evolved to hunt, but we also evolved to cooperate, to build communities, to help each other. You only saw the predator part. You missed the social part. Hyejin pulled up another image. Here is what we are proposing. Stop treating us like we need to be conditioned. Instead, talk to us. Actually talk. Explain what the Galactic Confederation is, what you need, what you are afraid of. Let us show you what we can offer. And what can you offer? Dr. Kixara asked. There was no hostility in the question, just genuine curiosity. Humans can survive in conditions most Confederation species cannot, Dongwu said. We adapt quickly. We are creative problem solvers. We are strong. We are resilient. We can work in your dangerous environments. We can do your difficult jobs, but not as trained animals, as partners. Partners, Thulpen repeated slowly. Equals, Taeyang said. You bring us into your confederation not as workers to be managed, but as members to be respected. We share our strengths. You share your knowledge. We build something together. One of the council members on the screen spoke for the first time. It was a being that looked like a floating jellyfish. And if we refuse? If we decide humans are too dangerous? Then you will have a problem, Sunhee said bluntly. Because humans are already on dozens of your worlds. We are already working in your systems. We are already essential to your operations. Bora is not the only one. There are hundreds of humans in your infrastructure now. Maybe thousands soon. You cannot get rid of us without disrupting everything we are already maintaining. Is that a threat? Thulpen asked. It is a reality, Hyejin said. But it does not have to be hostile. We do not want conflict. We want cooperation. But it has to be real cooperation. Not masters and servants. Not trainers and trained. Real partnership. The room was silent for a long moment. The council members looked at each other. Thulpen's scales shifted through several colors. Dr. Kixara's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. Velmoth's feathers slowly settled. Finally, Dr. Kixara made a sound that might have been laughter. We never had control at all, did we? From the very beginning, you were playing along. Not all of us from the beginning, Taeyang admitted. It took me a few days to figure it out, but yes. We were always aware. Even the ear-scratching, Velmoth said suddenly. You made that mean something, did you not? We documented it as a stress behavior, but it was a signal. Taeyang smiled and scratched behind his ear. It means they are watching. Stay alert. Play the game. It started with us four, but by now I bet humans across multiple worlds are using it. Or something like it, Hyejin added. Thulpen was quiet for a long time. Then his scales shifted to a lighter color. You understand this changes everything. The entire integration program, the conditioning protocols, all of it was based on false assumptions. Yes, Dongwu said. But maybe that is good. Maybe you learned something too. What would we learn? Valmoth asked. That intelligence and cooperation are not the same as weakness, Sun He said. We played along not because we were trained, but because we were patient. We waited for the right moment to show you the truth. That takes more control than you realize. Another council member spoke. What guarantee do we have that humans will remain peaceful? You come from a violent world. You have violent instincts. We do, Tae Yang agreed. But violence is not the same as cruelty. We fight when we need to. We protect what matters, but we also build. We create, we love. We make art and music and stories. You only studied our history of war. Did you study our history of cooperation? Of sacrifice? Of people helping strangers for no reward? We did, Dr. Kizaru said quietly, and it confused us. Predators are not usually so altruistic. Because we are not just predators, Hyejin said. We are human. That means complicated. That means capable of both violence and compassion, just like any intelligent species. Thulpen looked at the council members on the screens. They had a long discussion in their own languages, without translation. The four humans waited. They had said everything they needed to say. Now it was up to the aliens. Finally, Thulpen turned back to them. The council has made a decision. We will suspend all conditioning programs. We will establish formal diplomatic contact with Earth. We will treat humans as sentient beings capable of self-determination. This will take time. It will require new protocols, but we agree that the current approach has failed. Not failed, Dr. Kiara said. Just been proven unnecessary. Belmoth ruffled his feathers one more time. I spent 200 years developing conditioning techniques, and 4 humans from a death world outsmarted all of them in 2 months. I am not sure if I should be insulted or impressed. Be impressed, Sun-Hee said with a grin. It will save time. Over the next several weeks, everything changed. Humans across multiple worlds were informed that the conditioning programs were ending. Some were relieved. Some were disappointed they could not keep playing the game, but all of them were glad the truth was out. Bora sent a message that reached Tae Yang somehow. It said, "Well done. See you at the first real council meeting. I will bring the good coffee from Earth. They do not know what they are missing." The 4 humans were eventually returned to Earth. They had been gone for 3 months. The Galactic Confederation made formal contact with Earth's governments. It was messy and complicated and took years to work out. But it happened. Tae Yang went back to his construction job. But now, sometimes he also worked as a consultant for the Confederation, helping them understand humans, teaching them that respect works better than training. One day, years later, he was teaching a class to young aliens who wanted to work with humans. He told them the whole story. At the end, one of them asked, "What was the most important lesson?" Taeyang thought about it. Then he scratched behind his ear and smiled. Never assume that because someone goes along with your plan, they agree with it. Sometimes the smartest thing to do is be patient. Learn. Wait for the right moment, and that applies to everyone, human or alien. The young aliens took notes. They had much to learn about humans, but at least now they were learning the truth. Not training methods, not conditioning protocols, just honest understanding, and that Taeyang thought was how real cooperation worked.